Look at these waves coming in. Woo, baby. And look at the mist right on the surface of the water. Man, you know, this storm is on the deck. The wind never organized down here, but I tell you what, the clouds are down here. And there is wind right now. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're seeing some hurricane wind now. There's no way I'm going to go out there and stand in this. You understand that, right? Not here. No way. Well, I'm looking at everything right now, kids. I mean, I'm looking out that passenger window because I'm right next to these big trees and they could easily lose a branch in this wind. It's really picking up. And now it's getting really wild. Look at that. Wow. Man, you don't see stuff like this every day. Holy cannoli. Whoa, that pier is being just picked up by the ocean's, you know, movement. Whoa,
They were actually looking at people who were boarding up just an hour ago, just starting to board up. I have no idea why that seems like a good idea to anybody, but they are out right now. We've even seen some people, they're out under rocks in the park down the street, just trying to sit in the storm. This is getting extremely dangerous to be outside. If you know anyone who is outside in the Hampton Roads area, they should not be. We did just get a new tornado warning. It's the 2nd of the morning in and around the Norfolk area. That's until 15 minutes past the hour. We've seen reports of tornado damage, not confirmed just yet. There are 3 houses that are down in the Sandbridge portion of Virginia Beach, had their roofs torn off already. If you look up on the building next to me, one of the hotels here on the boardwalk had its sign completely ripped off just a short while ago. Haven't seen many trees going down the street just yet, but with wind gusts coming up like this, we could definitely be seeing that coming up over the next few hours. The eye is still quite a bit south of the Hampton Roads area. They've closed down the Hampton Bridge, they've closed down the Hampton Bridge Tunnel, also the Midtown Tunnel. They are not open for traffic. No one should be driving. Still recording those gusts upwards of 50, 60 miles per hour. And we're going to be in it here all the way through the afternoon. So if you are watching, stay indoors if you can. Definitely looking at dangerous conditions that will only get worse as the day goes on. Mike, Dr. Now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Eric, stay with us here. We're getting your gusts are right around 50 miles per hour. It's tough to see a little bit here. I think we've got, you're a long way away from the camera, but can you describe for us if there's any type of structural damage, you're seeing any type of wind damage with those gusts?
All I've seen so far at our spot is what's on the hotel here, and then the reports of the roofs that were blown off in around Sandbridge Beach. We also had a water rescue that took place a short while ago. 2 people taken off of a boat. Some people decide to stay on their ships and ride out the storm. This is not the kind of storm you want to be staying on a ship to ride it out. The waves really picked up. I mean, it's such a marked difference from what we saw last evening when we were boarding out here. And at this point, the rain's coming in so strong, I can't see the camera in front of me, guys. So we're looking at certainly some of the worst that we've seen so far here.
We're just rolling in with a wind that was supporting the waves from behind. I wouldn't be able to be here right now. But the wind is pushing the water. As soon as it crashes onto the land, it's pushing it away and down. So all this water right now is running west to east. Golly. Man. Wow, it's starting to look like it's settling down right now. I'm seeing a little bit of settling. It's starting to brighten up. The sky's brightening up. Yeah. Okay.
Allows our local forecast office to issue tornado warnings on those. They're fast, they're furious. They're not going to give you the long lead time like the big supersat tornadoes that you end up working in the Great Plains like we had back in April across this area. We've had storm surge tides in the upper ends of Pamlico Sound here in the 7.5-foot range. 5 to 9 feet is the forecast, depending on where you are on the upper ends of the sounds here. Storm tides will be high also on the coast, and you add to that the effects of the high waves and the beach erosion and whatnot that's going on out there. It's a very dangerous time if anyone's left out on the islands. Heavy rain, a large area has been getting rain since late yesterday afternoon. We're going to see 5 to 10 and maybe some isolated 15 inches across North Carolina before the storm exits there later today. Next slide, please. Here's the latest forecast track with some wind field information on it. By late this evening, it should be moving past, the center should be moving past the Norfolk area. The winds will be east, then northeast and north, and then around the northwest as the storm comes past Norfolk. I'm sure we'll see hurricane-force wind gusts through a lot of locations there. The sustained winds may be mostly over the water. With the now saturated grounds, those kind of winds. Remember Isabel, we had a lot of tree damage in that area. I expect we'll see reports in that regard in that area also. Then this evening, overnight hours, it's going to go right along the coast of the Delmarva, past places like Ocean City and Rehoboth, impacting the Delaware Bay with storm surge and high winds. And then by early morning, being near Cape May, New Jersey, moving up the coastline of New Jersey, affecting all the resort areas in New Jersey during the morning hours, and then making its next big landfall across Long Island into New England, very near New York City. I don't want you to get too carried away with that exact point on there. As you saw in the radar and satellite imagery, the center is not a tight little eye. It's a broad area right now of hurricane-force winds, and we're going to keep hurricane-force winds in the forecast for at least for now, right up through final landfall into New England. Next slide, please. The tropical storm wind probabilities, as we talked about for several days now, this gives you an idea of how large an area is going to be likely to be impacted by at least tropical storm force winds while Irene makes its trek up the eastern seaboard. And wherever those tropical storm force winds last for hours and we have the saturated ground, that's the areas we're going to be focusing on for the wind damage that is associated with trees coming down and the like. Next slide, please. This is a probability of storm surge gauged off a 4-foot exceedance. So if you're going to get higher than a 4-foot storm surge out of it, right now, the highest probability storm surge, as you might expect, is where it's actually happening. Also want to point out the likelihood of exceeding 4 feet in the upper ends of the streams that come into the James River and then the Chesapeake and the ocean in the Norfolk, Hampton Roads area. And then some parts of the lower Chesapeake have a chance. The upper Chesapeake on this track in our current forecast is not looking like it'll have the kind of a flood issue you saw with Isabel. Maybe some small water rise as the storm approaches, but then the winds will actually swing the other way, and you'll see a lowering of water levels there. Not so fortunate for Delaware Bay. The areas from north of Dover all the way down to Bethany, and then, of course, into Ocean City, we have a high probability of exceeding 4 feet in storm surge. That with the
winds, these heavy rains, and the wave action and the surge going all the way up into New England.
What's going on? The radar looks as good as it's ever looked. I mean, this is more echoes than we've seen even when it was making landfall and it was feeding off the ocean.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, and I don't know for sure to what extent this is going on here, but sometimes when a hurricane interacts with land and the winds slow down a little bit due to the friction of the land, when winds slow down around a low pressure, they tend to bend in toward the low pressure a little bit more, maybe enhancing the low-level convergence a little bit to spin up the thunderstorms just a hair. So maybe that's at least one reason, contributing factor why it looks relatively impressive for a Cat 1 hurricane.
It does look impressive. I mean, those huge shields of rain is something we haven't seen yet this morning. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more coverage for you this morning. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're right here on the Weather Channel Network, on weather.com, or on your mobile device, whether it be your iPad, your iPhone, your Droid. Also, find us on Facebook. A lot of updates there, and our Twitter as well. And don't forget, we're live streaming right now on satellite radio, so if you want to check us out there, you can check us out maybe in your car any time of day. Jen?
And Mike, we're live streaming on Facebook too. We want to show you though the radar and track this up along the coast and talk more about the forecast here. Right now, we are getting that very heavy rain coming in.
Disaster garden spot, this is it. And man, you know, I can't, it's the light from, the daylight is kind of blinding me right now, and it looks like y'all are seeing some really, really good action from the water that's
we wanted to stay mobile. I think it was time to get out. But we are on Princess Anne between Sandbridge and Virginia Beach proper, and we're seeing a lot of water starting to come up. These bands that have been coming through, these showers, the intensity just continue to increase. The amount of rain coming down is geometrically increased each time we come around here. I'm going to go down over here. You can see this lawn here is starting to take on some water, and we're starting to see it come up very quickly. Along the road, on Princess Anne, there's quite a bit of debris that's come down. We're not talking about There are quite a few people out driving around, and it's not the best idea. You know, here's some of that stuff I was talking about. Gotta just get out of this lane real quick. You can see the branches are down all over, and some of the